Commander Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the space station called Nexus 7, his hands held tight to the control desk. The screen in front of him showed something bad. Something very bad. It was a shape that made every living thing in space afraid. The shape of death itself. Daeun worked as a scientist on the station. She studied strange life forms from other worlds. Her voice shook when she spoke. "It is here," she said quietly. "The Vexthor is here." The name Vexthor was known across 300 star systems. People did not say this name without fear. The Vexthor came from a planet called Krell 9. That planet was a nightmare world where only the strongest could live. The Vexthor was the strongest of all. The creature stood 3 meters tall. That's about 10 feet high. Its body had black armor that looked like the shell of a giant beetle. But this was much harder than any beetle shell. It had 6 arms and legs. Each one ended in sharp claws. These claws could cut through metal like paper. Its mouth had teeth that could bite through the walls of a spaceship. Before the Galactic Council trapped them on their home planet, the Vexthor had killed 17 different species. Not just a few members, every single one of them. Gone forever. That is what made the Vexthor so scary. It was built to kill. It was born to kill. Killing was all it knew. "How did it get on our station?" Hyun-woo asked. His training as a soldier told him to stay calm, but inside he felt cold fear moving up his back. Jiho sat at the security desk. He was from the Thren species. His people looked like giant insects. When he got nervous, his mouth parts would click together. They were clicking now. "I do not know, Commander," he said. "It is in Section C7, that is near the homes, where families lived, where children played, where people felt safe." Hyun-woo felt his heart beat faster. He thought about all the families living in that section. Then he remembered the newest arrivals. 3 weeks ago, a colony ship from Earth had come to the station. Earth was a new planet that the Galactic Council had just found. The humans from Earth were strange. They had soft skin with no armor. They looked weak and easy to hurt. But somehow they had built ships that could travel faster than light. They did this all by themselves without help from other planets. The humans were very different from other species. They smiled all the time. They cried when they watched made-up stories on screens. They liked to keep small animals as friends in their homes. These animals were called cats and dogs. Some of these animals could even hurt humans, but humans kept them anyway. This seemed crazy to most other species. Hyun-woo thought about the human families now. "Get everyone out of Section C now," he shouted. "Send the combat teams. Use all weapons! We need to stop it before it kills someone." "Commander," Taeyeon's voice was full of panic. "The Vexthor is moving." "It is moving very fast. It is going to the human quarters." The screen zoomed in. It showed a heat picture of the creature. The Vexthor was running through the hallways at terrible speed. Then suddenly it stopped. It stopped right outside one specific door. The door to the Kim family home. Hyun-woo knew the Kim family. He had met them when they first arrived. Daehyun and Sumin were the parents. They worked as engineers. They helped fix the station's power systems. They were good workers and kind people. They had a daughter. Her name was Ji-woo. She was only 5 years old. She had bright dark eyes and a smile that made everyone happy. Even the serious alien workers would stop and talk to her when she walked by. She laughed easily and played games with everyone she met. She was a sweet child who saw the whole universe as one big playground. And now a Vexthor stood outside her door. A killing machine. A creature that had destroyed entire species. It was right there, right next to a small human child. "Get the teams there right now," Hyun-woo screamed. "Override all the safety rules. Break down the doors if you have to. Just get there before it kills her. Move, move, move." The screen changed. The camera in Section C7 turned on. Everyone on the bridge could now see what was happening. They all stopped and stared at the screen. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. What they saw made no sense at all. It went against everything they knew about the Vexthor. It went against all science and logic. It was impossible. Yet there it was, happening right in front of their eyes. The Vexthor was not attacking. It was not killing. It was not even in its attack position. The killing position that came before it jumped on its prey. No. It was sitting. Just sitting there in the hallway, like someone had told it to sit and wait. In front of the creature stood little Ji-woo, the 5-year-old human child. She wore a bright yellow dress with pictures of earth flowers on it. Her dark hair was pulled into two small bunches on each side of her head. She looked very tiny standing next to the huge monster. In her small hands she held a white plate. On the plate were some round brown things. They looked like cookies. The little girl looked up at the Vexthor. She was not scared. She was not crying. She was not running away. Instead, she was smiling. She held the plate up toward the huge creature. Her voice was high and sweet, the way little children sound when they talk. "Do you want a cookie?" Jiwoo asked the apex predator. The nightmare of 300 systems. The death machine. She asked it like she was talking to a friend. "My mommy made them. They are really good. You should try one." On the bridge, everyone stood frozen. They stared at the screen with open mouths. Daeyeon's 3 fingers shook. Jiho's mouth parts clicked so fast they made a buzzing sound. Hyunwoo could not speak. He could only watch. The Vexthor tilted its head. It looked at the small human child. Its sensor stalks moved forward. These stalks could smell fear from 50 meters away. They could detect a heartbeat through walls. They could find prey in complete darkness. Now they were focused on Jiwoo. Slowly, very slowly, the Vexthor leaned down. Its huge head came close to the plate. Everyone watching thought this was it. The creature would bite. It would attack. Little Jiwoo would die, but that is not what happened. Instead, the Vexthor reached out with one of its smaller claws. The claw that could cut through steel. The claw that had killed thousands of beings. It reached out very gently, very carefully. It picked up one single cookie from the plate. It held the cookie in its claw like it was something precious, something delicate. Then it put the cookie in its mouth. And it ate the cookie. Jiwoo clapped her hands together with joy. Her face lit up with happiness. "You do like cookies," she said with excitement. "I knew it. I knew you would. Everybody likes cookies. Even big space beetles like you." The little girl put the plate down on the floor. She was already thinking about something else. That is how children are. Their minds jump from one thing to another very fast. She looked up at the enormous creature. Her eyes were wide with wonder. "You are really big," she said, "and you look like a beetle. But bigger, way, way bigger than any beetle I have ever seen. Are you a nice beetle?" "I think you are. Nice beetles get cookies. Mean beetles do not get cookies. And you ate the cookie, so you must be nice." The Vexthor made a sound. It was a deep rumbling noise that came from inside its body. This was the sound that usually came before an attack. The sound that meant death was coming. But the creature did not attack. It just sat there looking at the little girl. If a Vexthor could look confused, this one looked confused. Jiwoo smiled even bigger. "You are a nice beetle," she said happily. She decided this all by herself. The rumbling sound did not scare her. Nothing seemed to scare her. "But you need a name. Every friend needs a name. That is the rule." She put her small hand on her chin. She looked up at the ceiling. She was thinking hard about what to call this huge creature. Her face showed all her thoughts. This was another thing about human children. Their faces always showed exactly what they were feeling. "You are very big," she said, talking to herself, "and you make growly sounds. Growly, growly sounds. So I will call you Mr. Growls. That is a perfect name. Do you like it, Mr. Growls?" The Vexthor tilted its head to the other side. It made the rumbling sound again. Jiwoo took this as a yes. In her mind, Mr. Growls liked his new name very much. On the bridge of the station, nobody could speak. They just watched. Daeyeon pulled up all her files about the Vexthor species. She read them quickly. Her eyes moved fast across the screen. "This should not be possible," she said quietly. "Vexthor only eat meat. They cannot eat cookies. Their stomachs cannot break down plant food. This makes no sense. No sense at all." But Jiwoo was not done. She looked around the hallway. She saw a banner hanging on the wall. It was there because the station had just celebrated Founding Day. The banner was colorful and shiny. It had gold and silver on it. It looked pretty. "Mr. Growls needs something," the little girl announced. She said it like it was a very important fact. She dragged a small stool over to the wall. She climbed up on it. She was so small that she had to stand on her tiptoes. She pulled the banner down from the wall. It was bigger than she was. She had to use both hands. The Vexthor watched her do this. Its big eyes followed her movements. It could have killed her in 1 second. Less than 1 second. But it just watched. Like it was curious. Like it wanted to see what she would do next. Jiwoo brought the banner down to the floor. She started to fold it. Her folding was not neat. It was messy the way a 5-year-old's work is messy. But she tried hard. She folded and folded, until she had made something that sort of looked like a hat. If you used your imagination, it looked like a hat. You need a hat, she told Mr. Growls. All the best friends wear hats. My daddy wears a hat when he works on the machines. My mommy wears a hat when she works in the garden, and you are going to be my best friend, so you need a hat too. She walked up to the creature, this being that had destroyed 17 species, this nightmare that was feared across 300 star systems. She walked right up to it without any fear. She held the makeshift hat in her small hands. Can you lean down, please, Mr. Growls? She asked politely. I cannot reach your head. You are too tall. Can you come down here so I can put your hat on? The Vexthor looked at her. For a long moment, nothing happened. Everyone watching held their breath. Then, slowly, the creature lowered its head. It bent down until its head was at the level of the little girl. It stayed very still. Jiwoo stood on her tiptoes again. She carefully placed the banner hat on top of the Vexthor's head. It went between the 2 sensor stalks. It sat there a bit crooked. The shiny decorations on the banner caught the light. They sparkled. The little girl stepped back to look at her work. She clapped her hands again. Perfect, she said with joy. You look very handsome, Mr. Growls. You are the handsomest space beetle I have ever seen, and that hat looks so good on you. The Vexthor stood up straight again. The hat stayed on its head. It did not try to shake it off. It did not try to remove it with its claws. It just wore the hat. The apex predator of 300 systems wore a sparkly party hat made by a 5-year-old human child. Hyunwoo finally found his voice. Someone needs to explain this to me, he said weakly. Right now. Someone explain what we are seeing. Da-un shook her head. I cannot explain it, Commander. Everything we know about the Vexthor says this cannot happen. They are pure predators. They do not have social behaviors. They do not make friends. They do not accept dominance from other beings. They especially do not accept orders from prey species. And they certainly do not wear decorative items on their heads. But it is happening, Hyunwoo said. We are all seeing it happen right now. Yes, Da-un agreed. It is happening, and I have no idea why. On the screen, Jiwoo was now talking to Mr. Growls about her day. She told him about her breakfast. She told him about the game she played with her father. She told him about the drawing she made of stars. The Vexthor listened, or at least it looked like it was listening. Its sensor stalks were pointed at her. Its head moved slightly when she moved. Would you like to see my room? Jiwoo asked. I have toys, I have books, I have a stuffed animal that looks a little bit like you. Well, not really, it is much smaller. And it is purple. But it has a lot of legs like you do. The Vexthor made its rumbling sound again. Jiwoo took this as agreement. Great! Come on, Mr. Growls, follow me. She started walking toward her family's quarters. The door was still open. She looked back to make sure the creature was following her, and it was. The Vexthor was following her. It walked slowly behind the little girl. It had to be careful not to step on her. She was so small compared to it. One wrong step and it could hurt her by accident. But it was very careful. It placed each foot down gently. It kept a safe distance behind her. Stop them! Hyunwoo suddenly shouted. We need to get her away from it. Send the teams now. Wait, Da-un said. She held up her hand. Look at its body language. Look at how it moves. That is not a hunting posture. That is not aggressive behavior. I think that is protective behavior. Protective? Hyunwoo stared at her. It is a Vexthor. They do not protect things. They kill things. I know, Da-un said. But look, see how it walks? See how it keeps space between them? See how its claws are retracted? That is not how a predator acts around prey. That is how a guardian acts around something it wants to keep safe. They watched as Jiwoo led Mr. Growls into her room. The creature had to duck to get through the door. It was too big for the human-sized doorway. Once inside, Jiwoo showed it all her things. She held up toys. She pointed at pictures on the wall. She showed it her bed with the stars on the blanket. The Vex Thor looked at everything she showed it. When she held up a toy, it would lean down to look at it closely. When she pointed at a picture, it would turn its head to see. It was acting like an interested friend, not like a monster, not like a killer. "This changes everything," Dawn whispered. "If this is real, if this is not some kind of trick or drug effect, then everything we know about predator species is wrong, or at least incomplete." Hyunwoo sat down in his chair. His legs felt weak. "We need to tell the Galactic Council," he said. "They need to see this. They need to know that a human child just made friends with a Vex Thor." "They will not believe it," Jiho said from his security station. "I am seeing it happen and I do not believe it." "Then we show them the video," Hyunwoo said. "We send them the recording. Let them see it with their own eyes." Da-un was already recording everything. Every movement, every sound, every moment of this impossible thing that was happening. "This will be the most important discovery in xenobiology in 1,000 years, she said quietly. "A human child has just done what our greatest scientists said could never be done. She made a Vex Thor into a pet." On the screen, Jiwoo was reading a book to Mr. Growls. The huge creature lay on the floor of her small room. It barely fit in the space. But it stayed there quietly. The sparkly hat still sat on its head. Jiwoo sat next to it, holding a picture book. She read in her high, sweet voice. The Vex Thor listened. The story was about a lost puppy who found its way home. Jiwoo showed the pictures to Mr. Growls as she read. When she got to the happy ending, she smiled. "See? Everything turns out okay in the end," she told the apex predator. "Just like everything will be okay for us. Because we are friends now. Right, Mr. Growls?" The Vex Thor made its rumbling sound. It was a softer rumble this time, almost like a purr. Jiwoo hugged one of its massive legs. "I knew it," she said happily. "I knew we would be best friends." The video spread across the galaxy faster than light. Every species in known space watched it. They watched a small human child give cookies to a Vex Thor. They watched her make it wear a hat. They watched her read it a bedtime story. And nobody could believe what they were seeing. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. This almost never happened. The council only met like this when something very important needed to be discussed, something that could change everything. And this video was definitely something that could change everything. Ambassador Tae Yang represented Earth at the council. This was his first big meeting in front of all the species. He stood at a tall podium in the center of a huge room. The room was built to hold thousands of different life forms. Some breathed air. Some breathed water. Some did not breathe at all. All of them were looking at him now. Tae Yang wore glasses. When he got nervous, he would push them up his nose. He was doing that a lot right now. His hands were shaking slightly. He had never spoken to so many important beings before. Counselor Vrex spoke first. Vrex was made of crystals. When he talked, his whole body made a ringing sound like bells. "Explain," Vrex said. His voice was not friendly. "Explain how a human child did what we thought was impossible. Our greatest warriors could not approach a Vex Thor safely. Our best scientists could not find a way to communicate with them. Our smartest strategists said it could never be done. Yet your child did it in minutes." "Explain this." Tae Yang took a deep breath. He pushed his glasses up again. "To be honest, Counselor, we are not completely sure ourselves. We did not train her to do this. We did not know she would do this. She just did it on her own." A murmur went through the chamber. Many species made sounds of surprise or confusion. Some clicked. Some buzzed. Some made sounds that human ears could not even hear. "However," Tae Yang continued quickly, "I can offer an idea based on how humans behave. Would that be acceptable?" Vrex's crystals rang again. "Proceed." Tae Yang felt a bit more confident now. He knew a lot about human behavior. He had studied it for many years. "Humans have a special ability," he explained. "We call it pack bonding. But that name is not quite right. It is more than that, much more. We form emotional connections with almost anything. We do not just bond with our own species. We bond with other species too. Even species that could hurt us. What do you mean? Asked Counselor Thrix. Thrix looked like a huge snake covered in fur. You form bonds with predators? On purpose? Yes, Taeyang said. For thousands of years we have done this. We took wild wolves into our homes. Wolves are predators. They have sharp teeth. They can kill humans. But we fed them. We cared for them. We made them part of our families. Now we call them dogs. They are our best friends. He pulled up pictures on the big screen. Pictures of humans with dogs. Pictures of humans with cats. Pictures of humans with horses, with birds, with rabbits, with all sorts of animals. We also keep cats in our homes. Cats are also predators. Small ones, but still predators. We keep birds even though they have sharp beaks. We ride on horses even though they could kick us and kill us. We swim with dolphins. We even try to pet wild animals that we should run away from. Many counselors made sounds of shock. This seemed crazy to them. Why would any species do this? This seems like a bad survival strategy, Vrex observed. His crystals rang with confusion. You should avoid predators, not invite them into your homes. Maybe, Taeyang admitted, but it is also how we survived. Earth is a very dangerous planet. We call it a death world. It has terrible weather, huge storms, earthquakes, floods, fires, and it has many, many dangerous animals. Animals much bigger and stronger than humans. Animals with claws and teeth. Animals with poison. Animals that could kill us easily. He showed more pictures. Pictures of bears, of tigers, of sharks, of snakes, of all the dangerous things on Earth. The counselors watched in silence. Some of them were thinking that Earth sounded like a terrible place to live. Humans are not very strong, Taeyang continued. We are not very fast. We do not have sharp claws or teeth. We do not have armor or shells. We do not have poison. What we do have is the ability to make friends, to work together, to turn enemies into allies. We befriended wolves and they helped us hunt. We domesticated prey animals and they gave us food. We learned to work with horses and they carried us. We turned threats into partners. That is how we survived on our dangerous world. He brought the video of Jiwoo and Mr. Growls back on the screen. The part where she offered the cookie. The part where she put the hat on. The part where she read the story. Little Jiwoo did not see a monster, Taeyang said softly. She saw a big creature that looked interesting. In her mind, it might be a friend. So she did what humans do. She offered food. Sharing food is how humans show trust and kindness. She gave it a name. Names make things personal. They make things feel like family. And she made it wear a hat because, well, that is what human children do. They play, they imagine. They see the world as a place of possibilities. But why did the Vexthor respond? Vrex asked. That is what we need to understand. Dayun stepped forward. She had been invited to speak because she was an expert on alien life forms. We have been studying that question, she said. Vexthor are apex predators, yes. But they are also very intelligent. They have complex brains. They can use tools. They can plan strategies. And they can recognize emotions in other beings. I believe that when Jiwoo approached without fear, without showing any signs of being prey, the Vexthor did not see her as food. It saw her as something else. What do you mean by signs of being prey? Thrix asked. Fear, Dawen explained. When most beings see a Vexthor, they are afraid. They run, they scream. Their hearts beat fast. They sweat. They shake. The Vexthor can smell all of this. They can sense it. It tells them that something is prey. But Jiwoo felt no fear. Her heart did not race. She did not run. She walked right up to it with a smile and cookies. The Vexthor had never experienced this before. It did not know what to do, so it did nothing. It just waited to see what would happen. And then, Frex prompted, and then she gave it food. Daun continued. She gave it a name. She touched it gently. She talked to it like a friend. And something very interesting happened. We have discovered that humans carry certain chemical signals on their skin and in their scent, signals that come from living with domesticated animals for so long. Dogs, cats, horses, all these animals leave traces on humans. To a creature with senses as sharp as a Vexthor, humans probably smell like pack animals, like beings that live in social groups, not like prey, not like a threat, like family. The chamber was very quiet now. Everyone was thinking about this. It was a lot to take in. So you are saying, Vrex said slowly, that humans accidentally smell like friends to predators? Because you have been living with other predators for so long? That is one theory, Daun said. But there is more. Humans also act friendly. They smile. They use soft voices. They move slowly and calmly. They offer food. All of these are signals of non-aggression, signals of wanting to be friends. And they do this naturally, without thinking about it. Especially children. Children have not learned to be afraid yet. They approach everything with curiosity and hope. Taeyang nodded. Dayan is right. Human children are especially good at this. They have not yet learned what they should fear. They see the world as full of potential friends. And somehow, amazingly, other beings respond to that. This is unprecedented, said another counselor. This one looked like a floating cloud of gas. If what you say is true, then humans might be able to establish peaceful contact with many species we thought were too dangerous to approach. That is exactly what we are thinking, Taeyang said. We would like permission to test this theory. Under controlled conditions, of course. We would like to see if other humans can form bonds with other Vexthor, and perhaps with other dangerous species as well. Vrex's crystals rang for a long time. He was thinking hard. Finally, he spoke. This is a serious matter. We will need to discuss it. But if your theory is correct, it could change everything. We could potentially open diplomatic relations with species we thought were impossible to communicate with. We could expand our understanding of the galaxy. We could create peace where we thought only conflict was possible. Or, Thrix added quietly, we could get a lot of beings killed by encouraging them to approach dangerous predators. That is why we need to be careful, Taeyang agreed. That is why we need controlled tests. With volunteers who understand the risks, we will not force anyone to participate. We will not take unnecessary chances. But we believe this is worth exploring. The council voted. It was close. Some voted yes because they were curious. Some voted yes because they saw the potential benefits. Some voted no because they thought it was too dangerous. But in the end, the yes votes won. The council gave permission for the human domestication experiment to begin. 3 more Vexthor were brought to Nexus 7 station. They came in special containers made of the strongest metal. Armed guards watched them every second. Everyone was nervous. Everyone except the humans who had volunteered to meet them. Hyunwoo stood in the observation room. He watched the preparations below. This is crazy, he said for the 10th time. We are bringing more of these things here. What if it goes wrong? What if they attack? Da-eun checked her recording equipment. Her hands still shook a little, but she tried to stay calm. Science requires testing, she said. We cannot know if this works based on one case. We need more data. If humans truly have this ability, we need to understand it. And if it works, it could change everything. The first volunteer was named Minseo. She was a human woman who worked with plants in the station's garden. She was 28 years old. Her job was to grow food for the station. She loved plants and she loved animals. On Earth, she had kept many unusual pets. A snake that had poison. A large bird that could hurt people with its claws. A big hairy spider. She was not afraid of dangerous creatures. She found them beautiful. When they opened the container holding the second Vexthor, Minseo gasped, but not with fear, with wonder. "Oh, you are beautiful," she said. Her voice was full of joy. She walked toward the creature slowly. Her hands were open so it could see she had no weapons. This Vexthor was bigger than Mr. Growls. It had scars on its armor. These scars told a story of many fights, many kills. This was an old warrior, a survivor. It looked at Minseo with its huge eyes. Minseo kept talking as she walked closer. Her voice was high and friendly, the way people talk to pets. "Look at your armor. Those patterns are amazing. Are those marks that glow in the dark? Oh, you are just gorgeous. Yes, you are. Who is a pretty beetle? You are a pretty beetle." The Vexthor tilted its head. It watched her carefully. Then very slowly it lowered its body to the ground. It went into a resting position. This was something Vexthor only did when they felt completely safe, when they were ready to sleep. Scientists had never seen a Vexthor do this around another being before. Minseo smiled even bigger. She sat down on the floor next to the creature. She was close enough to touch it, but she waited. She kept talking about the plants she grew, about flowers and vegetables, about how beautiful nature was. After 30 minutes, the Vexthor moved its head closer to her. Mincio slowly reached out and touched its armor. It was warm and smooth. The creature did not pull away. By the end of the first hour, the Vexthor was following Mincio around like a dog follows its owner. She named it Luna because the patterns on its armor looked like the moon. Luna followed her everywhere. When Mincio went to the garden to work, Luna went too. It helped carry heavy pots with its strong claws. It was very gentle. It never broke anything. The second volunteer was Jae-hoon. He was a big, strong man who fixed machines on the station. He had tattoos all over his arms, pictures of dragons and stars and other beautiful things. He had a loud laugh that you could hear from far away. Everyone liked Jae-hoon because he was always happy and always ready to help. Jae-hoon's approach was different from Minceo's. He brought a ball, just a simple rubber ball that humans used to play games. He showed it to the third Vexthor. "Hey there, big guy," he said cheerfully. "Want to play?" He threw the ball down the hallway. It bounced and rolled. The Vexthor watched it go. It looked at the ball, then it looked at Jae-hoon, then back at the ball. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the creature ran after the ball. Its 6 legs carried it fast down the hallway. It picked up the ball very carefully in its mouth. It carried the ball back and dropped it at Jae-hoon's feet. Every scientist watching stopped breathing. The Vexthor had just played fetch. A game, like a dog. An apex predator that had destroyed 17 species had just played a game with a ball. Jae-hoon laughed his big laugh. He picked up the ball and threw it again. "Good boy, who is a good boy? You are. Yes, you are." The Vexthor chased the ball again, and again, and again. It seemed to love this game. Jae-hoon named it Max. Within a day, Max would bring the ball to Jae-hoon whenever it wanted to play, just like a dog. The third volunteer was another child, a human boy named Woo-jin. He was 6 years old. He wanted to help because Ji-woo was his friend. If Ji-woo could make friends with a Vexthor, then he could too. That is what he told his parents. His parents were worried, but they also trusted the scientists. They also trusted their son. Woo-jin walked up to the fourth Vexthor with confidence. He carried a bag of glitter, the kind that sparkles and shines. "I am going to make you pretty," he announced. "Every friend needs to be pretty. Do you want to be pretty?" The Vexthor made its rumbling sound. Woo-jin took this as a yes. He opened the bag of glitter and started sprinkling it on the creature's armor. The glitter stuck to the armor and made it sparkle. The Vexthor sat very still and let him do it. When Woo-jin was done, the creature looked like it was covered in stars. "Perfect," Woo-jin said. "You look like a princess. I will call you Princess Sparkles." And that was how the fourth Vexthor got a name that would have made any warrior species very embarrassed. But Princess Sparkles did not seem to mind. The creature seemed happy. It followed Woo-jin everywhere. It let him ride on its back. It protected him from anything that might be dangerous. Within 1 week, all 4 Vexthor had been domesticated. That is the word scientists use when a wild animal becomes tame, becomes a pet, becomes part of the family. These creatures that everyone feared were now living peacefully on the station. They wore hats. They played games. They helped with work. They protected the children. They had become friends. Mr. Growls, the first one, had become special. He spent his days at the station school, the school where young children learned. He would sit in the classroom and listen to the teacher. The children would climb on him during playtime. They would read to him. They would show him their drawings. He was very patient, very gentle. He never hurt anyone, not even by accident. Every day, Ji-woo would put a different hat on him. Monday was a red hat. Tuesday was a blue hat with flowers. Wednesday was a hat shaped like a star. The other children started bringing hats too. Soon, Mr. Growls had a collection of 20 hats. He wore them all proudly. The news spread fast. Across the galaxy, beings watched the updates from Nexus 7. They saw humans living and working alongside Vexthor. They saw the creatures being gentle, being helpful, being friends. And slowly they started to wonder, if humans could do this with Vexthor, what else could they do? Da-Un wrote many scientific papers about what she was seeing. She called it the human effect, the special ability humans had to make friends with dangerous creatures. She tried to explain it with science, with chemicals and brain patterns and behavior studies. But even she admitted that science could not fully explain it. It is not just their smell, she told a lecture hall full of students. It is not just their behavior. It is something deeper. Humans approach relationships with hope. They give trust before they receive it. They see individuals, not just species. They see possibilities for friendship in everything they meet, and somehow other beings feel that. They respond to it. They want to be part of it. Other species started requesting human help. The Krath were crystalline creatures from a high-gravity planet. They were very territorial. They attacked anyone who came near their homes. But a human mining crew wanted to work near Krath territory. They needed permission, so they sent a human to talk to the Krath. The human brought music. Earth music. Classical music by a composer named Mozart. The Krath had never heard music before. They gathered around to listen. They loved it. The sounds made their crystals vibrate in pleasant ways. Soon, the human and the Krath were friends. Now humans and Krath work together. The Krath help find minerals. The humans play music for them. Everyone is happy. The void serpents were another success. These were huge creatures made of silicon. They lived in deep space. They would attack any ship that came near. For centuries, they had been a danger to travelers. But a scientist named Hana discovered something important. The void serpents were not mean. They were lonely. They wanted company. They wanted someone to talk to. Hana started a program. Human ships would stop and send radio signals to the void serpents. Just friendly messages. Hello. How are you today? Nice to see you. The void serpents responded. They sent signals back. They stopped attacking ships. Instead, they would swim alongside them like dolphins, swim next to boats on Earth. The shipping lanes became safe again. Even the swarm of Kala 7 changed. This was a species of insect-like beings that shared one mind. They had always been hostile. But a human child left out a bowl of sugar water for them, thinking they were space bees. The swarm saw this as a gift, a peace offering. They sent representatives to meet with humans. Now the swarm and humans were trading partners. The swarm provided special honey-like substance. Humans provided sugar and protection. The galaxy was changing. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years were becoming friends. All because of humans. All because humans saw the universe differently. They did not see monsters, they saw potential friends, and they were right. 5 years passed. 5 years since little Jiwoo first met Mr. Growls. 5 years since she offered him a cookie and made him wear a hat. The galaxy was completely different now. Better, safer, happier. The Galactic Council had created a new department. It was called the Office of Human Facilitated Species Integration. The name was very long and official, but everyone just called it the Friendship Office. Ambassador Tae Yang was now the director. His job was to help humans and other species become friends. His office walls were covered with pictures. Pictures from all over the galaxy. Humans standing with creatures that used to be called monsters. Humans sitting with beings that used to be feared. Humans laughing with species that used to attack on sight. In every picture, everyone looked happy. Everyone looked safe. Everyone looked like they belonged together. Hyunwoo visited Tae Yang's office one day. He had been promoted to admiral now. He was in charge of security for 17 different space stations. He looked at all the pictures on the walls and shook his head. I still do not completely understand it, he admitted. How did we do this? How did humans change everything? Tae Yang smiled. He picked up a photo frame from his desk. The picture showed Jiwoo sitting on Mr. Growl's back. She was 10 years old now. She was bigger, but she still looked small next to the huge Vexthor. Mr. Growls wore a party hat with stars on it. Both of them were looking at the camera. Both of them looked happy. We did what humans have always done, Tae Yang said quietly. We looked at the universe full of things that could kill us. And we asked a simple question. Could we be friends, though? That is the human way. We choose hope over fear. We choose friendship over fighting. We believe that anyone can be a friend if you just give them a chance. That seems like it should not work, Hyunwoo said. That seems like a terrible way to survive. And yet, Taeyang pointed to the window. Outside, the station was busy with activity. Aliens and humans worked together. A Vexthor helped move cargo boxes. Its human handler talked to it like an old friend. A small human child waved at a passing Krath. The Krath made its crystals glow bright in response. This was how they said hello now. Here we are, and we are all still alive, all still together. Dayun had become famous. Her research on the human effect was taught in schools across the galaxy. She had won many awards. She gave lectures to sold-out crowds. Everyone wanted to understand how humans did what they did. But even after 5 years of studying it, she still could not fully explain it. During one of her lectures, a student asked her the question everyone wanted answered. What exactly is the human effect? Can you define it scientifically? Dayun thought carefully before answering. I can tell you what we have learned, she said. It is not just one thing. It is many things working together. Humans have chemical markers that make them smell like pack animals. They have body language that signals friendship. They have voices that sound non-threatening. They offer food and gifts. They give names to create personal connections. They show patience and kindness. All of these things matter. She paused and looked at all the students watching her. But there is something deeper. Something I cannot measure in a laboratory. Humans approach every new being with hope. They extend trust before it is earned. They see individuals, not just species. They believe in the possibility of friendship even when logic says it is impossible. And somehow other beings feel that belief. They respond to it. They want to be part of it. She showed a video. The original video of Jiwoo meeting Mr. Growls for the first time. Every student had seen it before. It was famous across the galaxy now. But it still amazed people every time they watched it. Watch her face, Daun said. She is not pretending. She is not acting brave to hide fear. She truly is not afraid. She truly believes this creature can be her friend. And that belief, that genuine hope, changes everything. It changes how she acts. It changes how the Vexthor responds. It changes the whole situation. Mr. Growls himself had retired from station life. He was old now for a Vexthor. He had lived a long and interesting life. He now lived on Earth with the Kim family. They had bought a house with a big yard just for him.
He had his own building, really.
A place built specially for a giant space beetle to live comfortably. He had become famous on Earth. People from all over the planet came to visit him. News programs did stories about him. Children wrote school reports about him. He was proof that the impossible could happen. That fear could turn into friendship. That monsters could become friends. Every day, neighborhood children would come to visit. They would bring toys. They would read stories to him. They would show him their homework. Mr. Growls would sit patiently and listen to everything. He still wore hats. Different hats for different days. The children brought new ones all the time. He had hundreds now. On Sundays, he wore a special bow tie. Jiwoo had given it to him for his birthday. Yes, they celebrated his birthday now. They did not know his real birthday, so they picked the day they first met. Every year on that day, they had a party, with cake and games and presents. Mr. Growls loved these parties. He would make his happy rumbling sound all day long. Jiwoo was 10 years old now. She was not a tiny child anymore, but she was still small compared to Mr. Growls. She had started a blog on the internet called Making Friends Across the Stars. She posted stories about making friends with different species. She gave advice on how to approach new creatures. She shared pictures of humans and aliens being friends. Her blog had 3 billion followers. That is 3,000 million people. Beings from every corner of the galaxy read her posts. Her most popular post was called Why Every Creature Deserves a Chance and Also a Hat. In it, she explained her simple philosophy. Everyone can be a friend if you are kind to them. And friends should have hats because hats are fun. But the story did not end with the species that had already been befriended. New species were being discovered all the time. The galaxy was huge. There were millions of planets. Billions of different life forms. And some of them were very scary. In the deep core of the galaxy, in a region that had never been explored, a human survey team found something new. They were mapping new star systems when they encountered beings like nothing anyone had seen before. These creatures were enormous. They were made of plasma and energy. They could create storms with their thoughts. They could destroy a spaceship just by being near it. They were the most powerful beings anyone had ever found. The team leader was named Unji. She was a veteran explorer. She had discovered 17 new species. She had made friends with most of them. When she saw these giant plasma beings, she did not run. She did not call for weapons. She did not panic. Instead, she reached into her backpack. She pulled out a container. Inside the container were cookies. Chocolate chip cookies. She had made them herself that morning. She always brought cookies on exploration missions now, just in case she met someone who might want to be friends. She opened the container and held it up toward the massive plasma beings. She smiled her biggest smile. Her voice was cheerful and friendly when she spoke. "Hi there," she said. "Would you like some cookies? I made them myself. They are really good. And after you try them, I have some hats you might like. I think the one with the flowers would look great on you." The plasma beings paused. They had been about to destroy this tiny ship that had entered their space. But something made them stop. Something about this small creature that showed no fear. Something about the way she smiled and offered food. Something about her genuine belief that they could be friends. One of the beings reached out with a tendril of energy. Very carefully, very gently, it touched the container. The cookies inside started to glow. Then the glow faded. The being pulled back. It seemed to be thinking, considering. Deciding, Unji waited patiently. She kept smiling. She kept her hand steady, holding out the cookies. She believed this would work. She had to believe, because that was the human way. And across the galaxy, humans kept doing what they did best. They kept offering friendship to everyone they met. They kept believing that monsters were just friends they had not made yet. They kept putting hats on things. And slowly, steadily, impossibly, the universe became a kinder place. Because it turned out that the scariest thing in the universe was not a predator or a monster or a nightmare from the dark. The scariest thing was a human with cookies, a homemade hat, and an absolute refusal to believe that you could not be friends. They would approach you with hope. They would offer you food. They would give you a silly name. They would make you wear ridiculous decorations. And before you knew what was happening, you would be part of their family. Humans were the apex pack bonders of the galaxy. They looked at death itself and said, "But have you tried being cute and friendly instead?" And the amazing thing, the impossible thing, the wonderful thing was that it worked. It actually worked. Time after time, species after species, world after world. The galaxy learned an important lesson from humans. Fear was a choice. Fighting was a choice. But so was friendship. So was hope. So was believing that anyone, no matter how scary they looked, could be a friend if you just gave them a chance. And maybe a hat. Definitely a hat. Everyone looked better in a hat. And somewhere on Earth, in a house with a big yard and